Hey guys, you're watching Off the Record with Luke Eccles, and we have...
Me. I am Dave Heck.
There we go.
I'm Rachel Chauncey.
We've got a special episode today. This is episode 2. I don't know how long I've known Dave. I don't know.
Too old to know.
We're way too old to know. A lot of... we probably met at the Polish Club.
Sounds logically right.
It was either like a random Lansdale, or I call it like the other side of 476.
Yeah.
Shows.
Somewhere in central Montgomery.
Yeah, central Montgomery. I definitely probably figured out a little bit more who you were when through the Amora guys, probably.
Gotcha.
So tell us a little bit about what you do, Dave. I know I don't know how many bands you're in right now.
Honestly, I'm only in one band now.
Only one band.
Yeah, it's weird. It's the first time in 25 years or so. So,
wow.
But yeah, I'm kind of an all-around scenester from Lansdale, Pennsylvania, which for anybody that doesn't know is about 20 miles north of Philadelphia in central Montgomery County. But I got into shit in the late 90s when things were, much different, and I fell in love with it. Decided that was what I wanted to do, at least in some form or another, basically with my entire existence. So, did that. Started out playing in bands. I played trombone, so I played in a ska band, kind of a ska thrash punk band. It was very fun, Nutbox. And then eventually got into hardcore, around the same time pretty quickly, and went from there and played in hardcore bands for years. Always played trombone randomly and, on people's projects for different friends that needed it. But
what instruments do you play?
Guitar, bass, trombone's really my main instrument, if I'm being honest, which is crazy because I did most of my touring playing guitar and stuff. So it's kind of crazy, but it's good because I love playing the trombone. I always have. And for my parents, they love that I'm doing this too. So about 10 years ago, I, joined, really Aaron West in the Roaring 20s became a thing. And I, was on the first record and continued to be there. That's a decade ago, but, that's really the only band I played. And I did play in a band called the Bad Ups for a couple of years, a good skate punk band from, again, Montgomery and Bucks County.
So I met Travis, Chris Swanson, or what was he was called my Skavansky or something like that for a while. Skavansky. He threw this show. One of his friends, one of his friends, this guy's parents flipped houses, and they had a house I don't know, it was in the middle of nowhere. It was like cow fields. I don't even know what town it was. And he was like, they're selling this house, but they said that we can throw a party and have a show. And Travis played acoustic. And he was, I want to say he was high school, maybe just out of high school.
Yeah.
And he killed it.
Yeah.
I think he was 19. I don't think he was even 21 yet. He might have been 20, somewhere around there. And I just remember this guy, he's got a good stage presence. He was kind of harassing the crowd a little bit. It was really cool to see.
He has
him.
good energy. Yeah, he
really good.
He definitely. Travis can play, dude. He is a rocker. Yeah. That dude. When you go to see him play, you're gonna get a show, and it's he takes it seriously. And I didn't know him back then. I met him. Oh, dude, probably 6 years ago, maybe 5-6 years ago, something like that. Not that long ago in the grand scheme of things, but I kind of loosely met him at just random shows, probably the VFW or something, and then just mutual friends. We ended up hanging out. And, before, not long, I was playing with the Bad Ups. And Travis and I are very good friends now. I don't play with the Bad Ups anymore, but, he's doing really well. The band has, this new album coming out, hopefully very soon. But, yeah, good band.
Last time I played with him, I met his dad.
Oh, dude, yeah, Travis's dad was fun.
Such a cool guy. Just showed up. We played this outdoor. We played that skate park in Quakertown. Mm-hmm. And this was, I think this was the only show we played during full. It was end of shutdown. It was when everybody was like, "Can we go outside? We can't go out. Yeah. We can go out. We can."
Yeah,
it was one of those, and everybody's like, "We want to play. We want to play music."
Yeah, I remember that show. That we played 2 shows that day, I believe.
Yeah, Brad. It was the first and last show Brad Parsons played for Sunblind.
Shout out Brad Parsons.
Brad Parsons. You know Brad, correct?
I love Brad.
I don't know what band he's in right now. He's probably in 5 as well.
Modern Culture.
He's
very good.
They're great.
Yeah, he's playing. He plays bass in that, right?
He does, and he is so much fun to watch perform.
Oh yeah, he's
love Brad.
He's the Chris Farley of emo industrial.
Painfully accurate, I would say. Yeah,
dude, he's it's literally a show watching just him.
Yeah, good dude.
Very good dude.
But he is one of a few people doing shows in Lansdale currently, which is awesome.
Is he really?
Because,
Cool.
a lot of times you've seen it. It's usually one person or,
Yeah.
and then usually people compete within a show. It's like, it turns into something. But
he also, I feel
nice.
like almost everybody in the music scene has bought some sort of piece of gear from him.
Yeah.
Half of my board is from...
I tell the story every time his name gets brought up. I'm like, yeah, dude, I needed a Sans amp. And within 2 hours, I hit him up. And within 2 hours,
he was you need that Sans amp?
Yeah.
He was like, Wawa parking lot, 7:00.
Yeah. It was like, he was like better than Amazon. Like, it was just like, all right, well, that was easy. Yeah.
I did this day. I want to say it was last year when I came back from Florida. I had like a bunch of gear. When I can't offload something, I'll like just trade. I'll be like, what can I trade for this?
Right.
And I hit up like two different things, like an amp and like a bass or something like that. And some guys hit me up for a trade, so I literally did like a back-to-back at Wawa.
Yeah.
And both of them had just bought gear from Brad Parsons. They're like, oh yeah, I met this guy like last week in a Wawa parking lot. Like he was selling blah blah blah. I was like, what was his name? He's like Brad Parsons.
Let's go start a rumor that he's like on the down low, just hooking up with dudes at Wawa parking lots. Like, I don't know.
Brad Parsons is
really
the new
sounds
Sam
like
Ash.
Yeah, I seen him in some lots.
Yeah. Brad Parsons, we're watching. So, all right. So you joined Aaron Weston and the Roaring 20s started. When did they start?
2014, so 10 years ago.
Did he start? Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't really...
It might have been something that he was toying around with a little before that, but at least the first album was recorded and released in 2014.
I honestly never even got into the Wonder Years until what's that album with Cardinal?
Blah, blah, blah. No Closer to Heaven.
No Closer to Heaven. That was like the first album I really got into because it went a little bit more like rock. I'm not, like you said, you're not really like a huge pop punk guy.
Yeah, I admittedly am not a punk. Like I like skate punk and I like a lot of punk. I like punk by default.
Same.
So pop punk is something that I can appreciate, but I've never been like, oh yeah, like I'm, and that's fine. I don't have to. but the Wonder Years, like I've watched them go from starting to go to not a completely different band, but just directions. And I think everything they've done has been better than the last.
Oh, absolutely.
And like you do not see that with a lot of bands to be putting out good music like year after year.
Yeah.
It's almost unheard of in a lot of circumstances, especially in that genre.
Soupy's a really good songwriter.
He's an incredibly talented guy.
I would compare, because when I tell people like, oh yeah, I listen to Wonder Years or pop punk, they're like, I don't like pop punk. I'm like, I would equate him. I'm a huge like old Counting Crows guy, and it's more of like his songwriting and his like lyrics and like the emotion.
Yeah.
And a lot of his stuff really reminds me of that. Like he's telling about like journey stories of where he's been and intertwining poetry and art and things with these stories of them touring. Just a very, even if you're not into pop punk, like I think even just like reading his lyrics, I mean, it's just it's like poetry.
I think they are phenomenal musicians. Everybody in the band can play well, write well, love them. But I think the driving force with most things that involve Dan is his writing. Like I do feel he's an incredible writer. He always has been. I mean, since he was a kid, he even wrote for my zines and stuff.
Really?
Like did like reviews and stuff. And like he's just an incredibly well worded individual. So it's not surprising to me that with the chances he's got, that people have been very welcoming of it. And people fuck with it. And I can talk about it for a very long time, but it's definitely crazy that they've done what they have and he's done what he has as a result of just kind of being good at it and being painfully persistent and just never giving up. You just being like, well, I'm going to do this either way. So you could either ride with me or hate on me, and we're not going to care. It's a very Lansdale way to think about things. Like we're going to do it anyway. So
I just remembered how I heard about the Wonder Years for the first time. Mm-hmm. It's not a great story. No, it's a great story, but it's so. Do you know Preston Rabari?
I don't believe I do.
He was in Racing Kites way back in like 07, 06. They were like, they play Warped Tour. I worked with him at Sam Ash.
Gotcha.
He kind of looked like Jacob from Twilight back in the day. I used to scream Team Jacob when he would walk in the door. In fact, I would do it over the intercom. I'd be like, Preston, you got to call on 420. Go Team Jacob, and just hang up. He had a little bit of a temper problem when he was younger.
Dope.
And if you even said the name The Wonder Years, he would literally break something at Sam Ash. He would break either the display case behind the counter. Like he literally cracked him. Here's why. His girlfriend at the time, while he was touring at Warped Tour, I'm not even going to say her name,
Fair.
He ended up finding out that she was cheating on him with the guitars from the Wonder Years.
No.
So, like, anytime somebody even said the Wonder Years, he just lost all composure. It didn't matter whether he was with a client, Sam Ash. Like, he just lost his shit.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'd never even heard of the band. I was just like, who are they?
Well, I'm not going to speak for anybody. I know those guys pretty fucking well, and I guarantee you whoever that was did not know that was the situation, I would say.
Yeah,
that's a shame. Nobody likes to hear that.
Yeah, but that's how I found out what the Wonder Years were. I was just like, who? And he wouldn't talk about it.
Like, I got to see how good this band is, man.
Yeah, it's like people's girlfriends love them.
That'll happen. That will happen.
You have any questions you want to ask him on the microphone?
I don't think so. I mean,
Rachel knows me pretty well. I don't. There's not a lot left.
yeah, I mean, anything I could ask is going to be rude and uncouth. So,
all right. So one of the things I really want to start asking people on this is, what's your favorite tour memory? Like, what's something that really sticks out?
Oh man, favorite tour memory. So, like off the top of my head,
I would say an inspirational, like uplifting, because I've got a couple. Like, I want to know what what was the horror, you know?
Well, a very simple story. It's a wholesome and it doesn't even involve anything to do with me playing. But the first tour I did in Europe is in 2007, and I was with a band called Pale Horse from Connecticut. It was a hardcore band, and our first show was in Örebro, Sweden, which is where Millencolin is from, which is like one of my favorite bands. Always has been. And I was nerding out, and we're staying with a friend the night before. You know, we have a night off before we start our first show, you know, our first Euro tour. It's like, you know, a huge deal for me. And we're like, yo, there's this band that's doing a release show down the street. So, like, you want to go? And I'm like, yeah, night off in Sweden. Hell yeah, let's fucking go. And it turned out to be this band, The Sounds, and it was a release show for them. And The Sounds are like my favorite band, like, or at least one of my I have a very large portrait of their singer tattooed on my ribs. Like, I love The Sounds. They're not a hardcore band. They are very unique. I would say, I don't even know how to describe them, but they have a lot of different elements. Maybe like, they're like poppy. They're like a pop band, but like kind of with like rock and punk elements.
Are they from California?
No, they're from Sweden.
Okay.
Yeah, but I had never even heard of them. Okay. And we saw this band, and I was just completely like captivated by them. I loved them. I was like, this is phenomenal. And like the singer is a very, you know, good-looking Swedish woman. And I'm just like, all right, and look at the crowd, and all of the crowd was also like good-looking Swedish women. I was like, this is a good day. I like this. But yeah, I would say that's honestly for me as far as like big deal stories. It's not a great story, but I just randomly finding up on the first tour, and I booked that tour. Like to book a tour in Europe, even at that time, I mean, it was very easy in my opinion in the grand scheme of things, but compared to today, still very hard. And I did that, you know, and it was a big deal to me to be there and to find this band that, you know, I would essentially hyperfixate on for years and still am, you know. Awesome. It was a very cool thing to see. But I mean, there's a lot of different directions to go with tour stories, and there's a lot of different bands I played in that could go. You know, depends what you're trying to talk about, I guess. Sure. But that's a good that discovering The Sounds was a big deal for me, and that was one that, you know, I liked to talk about.
What's the one band you played with that just like you blew you away live? You weren't ready for it.
Live, Ringworm is a very good live band from Cleveland. Okay. That's a band that I listened to a lot for years. Like all of our friends listened to them, and then I didn't see them for a long time. And I don't even remember when the first time I saw them live was. I've seen them a couple times, but they're great. That was definitely like a phenomenal, like, oh my God, this band is like so tight and just so good. Are you talking about bands that I've played with and seen live?
Anything, man. Like, like for instance, like I went to see, it was Greg from Me Without You has when they weren't touring. It was before they're on hiatus or they broke up.
Right.
He was playing at Kung Fu Necktie, and it's like all the guys from Me Without You were there, and the opening band, like I go early because we're scene guys. Like, yeah, we like to be there for the whole show, and the opening band was from like Idaho or like Nevada. It was like not even Midway. It was like almost California, and it's Philly. And they were called Desert Noises.
Okay,
4-piece band, 2 guitars, bass, drums, and they blew me away. Just kind of like they had like a Desert Noises was an accurate description. Like very ambient, like lead guitar parts.
Okay.
Really kind of like singer-songwriter, but still kind of had this Americana, like rock guitar sound. And then they were like the next year they were on Audio Tree. Like they got pretty decently big after that tour. But it was like one of those bands where I was just like, these guys are amazing, and like nobody knew who they were.
Yeah. Nazem is another one. Everybody argues about how to say the name Nazem. Some people say Nazem. I've always said Nazem from Sweden. That was a band that I saw, unfortunately, after that their original vocalist passed away in the early 2000s in Tsunami. That was,
wow.
I believe he was in Thailand. I might be wrong about that, but he was on vacation.
Early 2000s tsunami. That's insane.
Yeah, and it was terrible. And him, I believe, and his wife or fiance, were never seen again. But they years later, had I believe some dude from Finland and from another band, play shows with them, and we played with them with Reign Supreme. We played with at Yperfest in Belgium, and I saw Nazem there, and it was like incredible live. Like it was, and they're like a super heavy, very like blasty, thrashy band. It was just seeing it live. It was also like I just love them that much. So to actually see a band that I never really thought I'd get to see was pretty incredible.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I worked with a girl at Sam Ash, Sarah Abrams. And her fiance at the time, this was like 2011, 12, RIP, Sam Ash again. I feel like that's going to be the reoccurring thing in my show. I was married at the time, so like she's a very pretty girl, and I was like, very faithful. I was like,
yeah.
I didn't care. So she always hung out with me because I was the only guy that didn't hit on her.
Fair.
And, but she was also like these guys that were really into hardcore metal, like from Sweden would come in, they would be like, Sarah Abrams, like her boyfriend or fiance was like, she was in this, she played bass or guitar, and he was like one of the number one like Swedish metal bands or something. Like it was like,
interesting.
They were like, do you know who you're working with? I'm like, no man, do you want strings or do you want to buy that? Like, do you want to buy that guitar you're just playing for 45 minutes into a Spider amplifier?
So how are we feeling about this Flying V?
Yeah. We gonna buy or are we just gonna stare at Sarah?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Sweden has there's like diaspora Swedish musicians. Like there's like the one bull from Against Me for a while was a dude from Sweden. Like another friend from Sweden who was in town in Philly, and they were playing at the Troc. He's like, "Yo, you want to go? My friend's playing bass for them." I'm like, "Sure." Dude, there's people from Sweden everywhere, man. Love Sweden. There was that dude from H2O. I think he might still be. He was from Sweden. They're everywhere. They're good at music.
They're infiltrating the music scene, guys.
True. They've been doing it, man. You can't take it back. Scandinavia fucked up it all for all of us.
What's the favorite? What's your favorite city that you've toured to? Like spending time in, not necessarily playing, but because you've gone to Europe a couple times, just alone with
Europe,
even just with.
I've traveled there. Yeah. I've mostly toured there, but I've been with bands and just been with them and not even played and done that sort of thing. But honestly, London's a big one. I get to go to London in like 3 days. Like I leave this week, so like I'm very excited about that. I have a lot of good friends there.
Tell me about the tour. How many days are you guys doing?
We're doing 6 shows. We're there for like 8 days. We leave Wednesday. Then we're back next Friday. So, but it's nice though because we get back. We land at like 3:45 p.m. in Philly, so I'll actually be back and get to like hang out and like see my girlfriend and stuff.
Right.
We just got back from the West Coast a couple days ago, and like it was like we landed at like 3 a.m. It was fucking terrible, but it's the life.
So what are these tours like? Do you guys when you guys land there? Are you getting in a van? Like what are the accommodations like? Where are you sleeping at night? Like what is like a 6-day tour in Europe like? Because I mean that's relatively very short for a tour.
Right. So, on the Aaron West level, which is the most highest level I've ever experienced with, touring as far as being taken care of and stuff, like we land there, we'll have a van and a driver that I believe is, an old friend of some of the Wonder Years guys. So they already know him.
Okay. That's actually awesome.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is. Really cool. It is. And the Wonder Years have been going to the UK since they were full on DIY. Like I remember like 2000, maybe 6, 7, I want to say. Them calling me like 3 a.m. because they knew I'd be up because I don't give a fuck. But sorry.
I was waiting for my time to ask if we could curse on the show, so we're.
You can interject. You're allowed to be a part of the show.
I don't have anything to add. I'm not. Everything that I know about the music scene is from Dave.
Well, it's gonna get there though, I think, because we're gonna start talking about Lansdale now.
Yeah, man. That I can get in on.
That being said, guys, if you don't know the Lansdale music scene, I believe you were actually in that documentary. Correct? There was a documentary.
Yeah. It was the dude that directed is this guy Jason Zoblin, who is an awesome guy, and
That's what I've heard from everybody that knows.
he's
him.
done other documentaries about like mental health and like surrounded about music and like pop punk specifically. And I met him. He lives in New York, and met him at Aaron West shows. And he's like talking. He's like, oh, I do this, and he actually interviewed Billy Z from Amora. For one of his documentaries.
Great guy.
And he's like, I'll send you a link, check it out. I was like, yeah, dude, sure.
I love the photography he's been doing too lately.
Yeah, I agree. Billy's doing awesome, man. He's booking in Sellersville at the theater, and the new Amora is good. Like,
dude, I've been watching them since they started.
Same, really,
and
it's good.
It's like as soon as they when they got rid of their other guitarist, and then it was up to what's his name who's their original guitarist that's still in the band? Tristan. I could see his face.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen him in 2 years. That forced Tristan to get really tight.
Yeah,
because he was like the only. And he'll even admit like he was sloppy back then.
Right.
Once they went before they added, and then when they added Chris Swanson on guitar, I remember going up to him after I saw them play him. I was like, dude, why the hell were you not in this band earlier? Because Chris played in Awaking Mercury for a while, for like a minute. Him and my old guitarist did not get along, but the type of music that Amora plays is just, that's what Chris, stuff that has melodic vocals, like thrashy guitar, rock stuff, and then screaming, like he's such a good musician.
He is. He's a very good musician. He's another rocker. Like Chris can play. He does sound good. He's a good host. He hosts open mics. Like he's an all around type dude. Like it's cool to see people like that. And he's not even from Lansdale. He's from Quakertown.
Yeah. You met his dad though, right?
I have. Yeah. I couldn't get over the fact when I met him. He just reminded me of Shooter McGavin from fucking Happy Gilmore. And he's like behind the mixing board, like doing stuff with Chris. I'm like, it just looks like Shooter McGavin.
He looks like Dave Mustaine.
Oh, dude, he did kind of look like Dave Mustaine.
Like there are certain pictures of Dave Mustaine. And it's like, oh, we're gonna have to do a side by side.
Yeah, he was wearing like a hat when I saw him.
Yeah. He's a cool dude too. Like
he seems like it.
Chris's parents are like the nicest people, and they show up to like a lot of his shows too. Right. It's so like I think his dad's retired now.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I know he plays. Like his dad's he's a fellow musician and everything.
Well, he was in Barley Juice for a decade or something like that.
Yeah,
which they were like I think they were like one of the number one Irish bands.
Yeah,
in the area.
He has talked about an Irish band his dad's been in.
Oh, and like when we say like a band, like they toured and made money. Like
that's awesome.
Yeah, they did pretty well, especially they made a lot of their money around St. Patrick's Day. That's for sure. Right. But yeah,
that's cool though.
Yeah.
I found out I was Irish like a year and a half ago, so I'm down. I have the credentials now. I stopped drinking, but I'm still down.
That's a traumatic time for you. You were really upset about it.
I was very shocked to know because I didn't know that they update Ancestry like DNA stuff.
Do they
like
really?
The more I don't know, but I got that done like a decade ago probably, or like 8 years ago. My parents bought me a kid. I was like, all right, this is cool, and like it wasn't a lot of surprises, but it was pretty cool. But nowhere on there was Irish
surprises.
Oh, there was surprises years later. So this, Aaron West tour last January of 2023. We did 3 shows in California. And we're like driving between LA and San Fran, and like it's when all that weather was terrible. It was like the whatever vortex, I don't even know, but it was just rainy and cold. It sucked. And we're just in the car, or the van driving. Everybody's talking about different Ancestry stuff, and I was like, I haven't looked at mine in a while, and I bring it up, and I'm like, and I'm like, oh, I gotta do my password. It's been years since I looked at it. And I look at it, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm looking at it. It's like you're like 33% Irish or some shit. I'm like, nah. Like I called my sister. I'm like, yo, we're Irish. And she's like, no. I'm just like, no, we are. I have the proof or whatever the fuck I have. But yeah, dude, it's either way, I'm down to playing an Irish folk band, whatever the fuck anybody's ready to make some money. So hit me up.
Do you know Florida Wayne?
I don't.
So he's like a resident here. He's got like I call them the daddy rock band.
Okay.
Very like 90s kind of like vibe. Really cool, really good band. I saw them on Friday. But he did Ancestry.com or like 23andMe or something like that. No. And this is so funny. Like his dad was in Vietnam. Mm-hmm. He found out that he has a half brother that's like a year older than him or something like that. No. And it was like his dad was in Vietnam and had a conjugal visit or whatever you want to call it, and had no clue, because it was, war-torn country.
Yeah.
And apparently his brother and his like the baby mama of his brother were living in like Atlanta, Georgia for
dope
40 years. Like Florida Wayne is, I think he just turned like 51. And so like he and his brother that was living here for like 40 something years. And the only reason why they found out was because of Ancestry.com.
Yeah.
And he came over here because of like after the war, they did like people, there were a ton of people that were born that, like they were not being accepted by society in Vietnam at all because they're, talking about a war-torn country, and now you've got people that are being born that are kids of the people that were just here. Like you can imagine like what we have going on with different racial like things like there, like they just weren't accepted. So I think the United States gave them some sort of like, like they made an effort to bring people here from Vietnam.
Oh, 100%.
So they were just living in like Atlanta for like 30 something years. And he's just like, oh shit, I got a brother.
Where'd you go to high school?
I'll tell you this. I am not on the alumni magazines, but Delaware County Christian School.
Okay. So I went to North Penn, like most dope people.
Yeah. Nathan Albach, one of my.
Yeah. Dude, there's a lot of
him on here at some point.
Yeah, he'd be a good one. I know him not that well at all, but good, very really familiar with his catalog of amazing career moves and just like hilariousness online.
I feel like I know about it, but I was there for like all of his music, but like he's very well accomplished online now.
Gotcha. I don't remember why I brought up where you went to high school. I
North
forgot.
Penn, you asked me where I went, and yeah, we were.
I had it.
We were talking about Vietnam and
oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like I remember, so we're about the same age. In the '90s, even as far back as like kindergarten and first grade, like, a lot of, immigration happening and like, kids coming to school. And like, I went to Hatfield Elementary, North Bend District and Hatfield. And like, there was a lot of Korean kids and a lot of Vietnamese kids. And it was like, and they were like still coming then. And
like, where are they coming from?
Well, like you think about when you're a kid, you don't really, you're learning about the world and you're like, all right, well, that's cool. People come here, but you don't realize that it's, because of reasons that are, unsavory at times. And, you just learn about the world and you're like, oh, wow, this is crazy. You have such a different story than me. And you're in the same position I am next to me, learning. And it's a wild thing. That's why I always loved North Penn as a district, because I always considered it for a suburb very diverse.
Right.
If nothing else, at least financially speaking, because the divide in that area is, there's a lot of very wealthy areas and there's a lot of the opposite.
Right.
It's I could talk about how dope it is there forever, but I remember originally I was talking about going to the UK, what accommodations are like. So if you want to swing back to that.
Yeah, let's swing back to the tour.
We're in like a Sprinter van. I think we're going to be there with 9 people, I want to say. So it's, pretty.
How many people are in the band right now?
So every tour is a little different depending on who all can come. We did the West Coast with 9 people.
Okay.
I believe we have the same amount, if not maybe
9 people
more.
In the band, or is that including?
No, in the band.
Okay.
On stage performing. It's kind of fun.
that is a ska band. Actually, that's a light ska band. That's
for how doofy we all are. We do have ska band vibes, I feel like sometimes.
Well, I saw you guys in Jersey. What was the difference between the band at that show versus the West Coast?
So we played with 15 people at our release show in Asbury that she's talking about. That was last month.
Yeah.
So we played with 15 there, and we played with 9 on the West Coast. But we only had like, the horn section was slightly different. Actually, no, the horn section was the same. Cause we had Juan here. Joe was playing trumpet. And so, sorry, the West Coast, Joe flew out. We had 2 trumpet players for the West Coast. My brain kind of took a shit there. I was like, what happened?
I don't think we're going to be able to do the full band interview upstairs if we ever try to have them. 9 people might be a little much.
I was going to say, well, if we get like a third of them.
Yeah. No, we are. Part of the thing is we are going to start doing at some point go to concerts and maybe do like a green room, like quick interview type of thing. Like
that'd be dope.
Yeah,
that'd be dope.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for that, we're in a van, we're in a Sprinter van, and that's rather nice, all things considered. For the amount of touring I've done and with most of the situations, it's luxurious in my opinion.
Far better than like an 8-passenger.
Right.
Probably because of the roof. The roof is
that
really...
alone, yeah. Because like I got arthritis in my left knee and I'm old, so like the West Coast tour, I was like standing while we were driving in the wheel well or the door well the whole time, and I was just like, my knee hurts, I need to stand, but I had room because it's nice. But yeah, we stay at hotels though, like motor lodges or something, not like super nice places or nothing, but it is very nice to just, feel like you're on a field trip essentially in a band. Cause I always room with Nick who, also has sleep apnea. So we're the snoring 20s and like we get to hang out.
The snoring 20s.
Yeah. I mean, it's 100% cause if you would see, if you tried to sleep near me, it's hard. And Nick is the same way.
You don't have one of the machines?
I do, but I don't give a fuck about that. Man, I'm trying to wear that. It's fucking annoying, man. Like I take care of my diabetes now, so you are all welcome already. I got enough shit I take care of. I'm trying to breathe in my sleep. My body will kill itself if it needs.
Dude, I'm telling you, as a guy that snores, like try to do something that will curb the snore while you sleep. Like it.
I mean, I got one. I just don't use it. I've had like the deviated septum surgery, and
really?
but I don't know. I probably should. I'm not going to argue
the
with you.
Difference. I'm telling you, the difference is sleep.
Yeah. I mean, I remember using it.
By the way, maybe we'll look for a good one of those oral things. I don't know. Like, there's a ton of them out there. There's like these oral things you put in your mouth that help with sleep apnea. No, I don't know the science. I don't know how good all of them are.
Fair,
but. I maybe I'll start trying a couple and I'll let you know.
That's fair.
Why not?
I should try them. I should do that. You are right.
When I have company, they do appreciate me using my machine. So
fair. My girlfriend sleeps more than everybody I've ever met in my life, so she's fine. Nah, I should look at it though, because they basically tell you the same thing with diabetes. They're like, yeah, if you have sleep apnea, you're basically going to die from it. Like it's going to happen.
It's
eventually.
not just snoring; you're not breathing when you're asleep.
Well, that's to most people because they're just
horrifying.
like, I know you slept all right. I was like, dude, I breathed 13 times last night.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Like,
I think she might have me bugged. I was going to say I don't have a girlfriend, but I have somebody that would be really mad if I said I don't have a girlfriend. And I was like,
it's fair.
Yeah. No, like, just I care about you, and I'm just saying, man. Trust me, you'll sleep.
I appreciate
You'll
it.
feel a lot better. You'll need less sleep.
Don't die in your sleep.
Yeah, that's true.
Just don't do it.
Yeah. I don't know. I do it for my dog, so he can sleep better.
I get it. My dog sucks, dude. She never shuts up. She doesn't live with me anymore though. She's at my parents' place. So
you also have like a terrarium or something, don't you?
I have a couple, yeah.
Let's take a break from tour. Let's talk about the Dave Heck Zoo you have.
So it's very small now comparatively, but at one time, like
myself as well. So keep
like 20 years ago, my parents' house was like kind of a novelty stop for a lot of bands in the DIY touring circuit because I had like hundreds of like snakes and lizards.
Really, you had hundreds?
Yeah. Oh well, I should say over 100 at one point. Because I used to breed them and stuff, and I just had a lot. So when I was a kid,
the Dave Heck petting zoo.
I've been to the current Dave Heck petting zoo.
It's
pretty cool.
It's
small to him. To anyone that doesn't have a lot of animals, it's awesome.
Right, but it's cool because like I don't have time like I used to, or just the will or energy to take care of a bunch of animals. I
had
love
3 ferrets at one time. And I was just like,
yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
And a wife and 2 dogs, so it was a lot.
Yeah, but
Wife was included.
Let's be honest, she was taking care of me in some sort of way, but I'll be honest.
That'll happen. That is often the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have 3 snakes, 4 crested geckos, 3 axolotls, 2 blue death fainting beetles, and 3 tarantulas.
Small zoo.
They're sweet. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I think you have more. I went to the Elmwood Zoo. I took my nieces and nephews to the Elmwood Zoo like 3 weekends ago.
Yeah.
I think you have more.
I do.
You have more than that little area that I was holding my 3-year-old niece. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, they start getting heavy after like 15 minutes. And I'm just like, look at the monkeys. Look at that. I don't know that's what that is.
Yeah.
You have way more than they had inside that
I
area.
always have. Like a year ago, I went to the Elmwood Park Zoo with a friend of mine, and we realized that they had like a bar there now, and I'm like, yo, so we got like just trashed, and I was like, this ain't shit, dude. Yeah, like this is clown shoes, man. When I used to live in Norristown for like a year,
You survived.
it wasn't bad. We lived on West Fernand Street, right by the zoo.
Okay,
which I liked our neighborhood.
It's a nice area.
It really was. It was a nice spot. Like I lived with that. So my at the time girlfriend Steph, who's from Phoenixville, like we had it. It was nice, but yeah, like I went to the zoo very frequently, and like I worked overnight, so I would just do homework there and stuff during the day. I loved living in Norristown, if I'm being honest.
Norristown's fun. Yeah, it's a great town.
Best roads in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, they
That's
really
not.
They have the best pot potholes.
Markley's been shut down for like 7 years.
Yeah, it's dog dick right now.
It's not.
I drove through there like a
I
month
like
ago.
Rachel already.
I'm a bartender, man. You can't take me down.
That's right, I forgot.
You can't take me down.
And where do you work?
Brown Guys Brewing Company.
Brown Guys Brewing Company in
Lansdale,
Lansdale.
Pennsylvania.
You guys want to check it out? We'll get to that in a couple of minutes. But so you've got the small zoo.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, the Elmwood Zoo is really cool.
It is. It's a lot different than when we were kids. I remember being in high school and like laughing about it. Like we're like, dude, this zoo sucks. Like it's
They
just
have,
like a monkey
like a
and like
ropes
like you
course.
think about like the old zoos. They're like that was it.
Yeah.
But it is a lot better.
You
now.
left like feeling bad for the animals.
Yes. Yeah. You're like, dude, that leopard fucking hated himself.
But they probably rescued it out of like some guy's basement.
Most likely, yeah. But yeah, I definitely lived down the street from the Elmwood Park Zoo and had like 3 times the amount of reptiles. But yeah, it was I love animals. I'm a huge animal guy. I always have been, and like reptiles were just always kind of like the people would hate on them. I'm like, all right, well I like them, so I kind of doubled down on liking them, and they're just neat. And my parents were like, all right, everybody's allergic to everything in our family, so we can't have a dog. And I wanted a dog like my whole life too, and that never fucking happened. But they were like, if you can take care of it and it doesn't have allergies, you can have it. So I was like, all right, cool. So I started keeping things and started with lizards and turtles and stuff. And I was like, all right, well I'm gonna get more stuff and just keep taking care of it. And that turned into a problem pretty fast.
So I grew up in Florida, and we had actually it was a pretty nice town. It was Sarasota, so it was on the Gulf Coast.
Not Lansdale.
Not Lansdale. It was not Lansdale. But we had like 3 acres, and we were on a like it was a creek, but it was basically,
that's cool though. Yeah,
basically almost a river. And then we had a freshwater pond. When we moved in, there was an 8-foot alligator there.
Hell yeah.
So like my dad was constantly like, put it back outside. Like I literally would walk in with like toads, like turtles, snakes. One time I walked in with a baby squirrel. He's like, absolutely fucking not. Like he was like, put it back. No. And then I put it in my pocket, and I walked over to the neighbor's house. They would like, his buddy Gordon would come down the street at a NSCAR because it's Florida, and he's dope as shit.
NASCAR Gordon.
NASCAR Gordon. Now, you would always hear him coming
up the
down the
block.
street, and the street was, it started very far up the street. You would hear his car, and they would just bench press in the garage. Now I'm an adult now. I think about like Gordon was getting swole for the ladies down at the beach for sure.
Gordon sounds dope. Honestly.
Gordon was living the dream.
I guarantee Gordon was probably the
Bumping the
coolest
block
guy I've
up.
ever met, and I
Yeah.
never like the only conversation I had with him was like part of the property there were like woods right across the street from their house, and I literally just got this baby squirrel and put it in my pocket like right here, and I had to have been like 10, and I literally just walked in while they were bench pressing. I was like, hey guys, and I just started talking, and it moved, and I just went like this, and Gordon goes, what was that? And I was like, just a baby squirrel. And then, like, he lost his mind. And I was just like, yeah, I found it in the woods. And they were just like, every time I came over, he was like, what do you have in your pocket? Like, as an adult, I would probably lose my mind too. But
Right.
yeah. But yeah.
Animals are dope.
I wasn't allowed to keep anything, but you kept everything.
Well, I more so got into like, getting pets, like stuff. My parents were pretty adamant about me not taking things from the wild. Like, just out of common sense kind of,
I mean, we don't have a lot here in Pennsylvania. So,
true, yeah. And it was just like one of those things where like, like animals that don't know how to survive inside can't come inside. And like, it made sense to me as a kid, so I went with it.
In Florida, they're literally coming inside, whether you want them to or not. So
it's the Australia of the states. But
I say that all the time. It is America's Australia.
Yeah. Everybody sounds annoying. Everybody's dumb.
Honestly,
You heard it here first.
listen,
Dave Heck's against Australia.
People talk shit about Florida, about how it's all rednecks. We have far more rednecks here in Pennsylvania.
It's true. I mean, yeah.
Like, not here, but like you go 20 minutes that way,
yeah.
you see far more, whatever you want to identify as the rednecks as.
Yeah.
You see that far more over there. It just doesn't sound as great with a Pennsylvania man does meth off an alligator.
It's true. But it happens.
It does happen. I'm not denying that. It happens. He has it in his car. And
I'm sorry.
there's a clip right there. Yeah.
I'm okay. I promise.
So you guys are doing 8 days. Did you get a day off? Is that just travel, or is that like...
I think we are playing every day except for the day we get there. I believe that sounds right. Maybe the day after or something like that.
No time to adjust for jet lag.
Not really now. When we did the West Coast last week, we flew to Denver. Our flight was like
Love
super,
Colorado.
super late. which was nice about as far as getting to the airport. Or no, sorry, it was early. We got there. I mean, we're still not caught up, if I'm being honest. But we flew to Denver. Next morning, fly to Phoenix. Next morning, fly to LA. And then we drove the rest of the time and had a day off between, drive to San Fran and stuff. But it was just like we were just every day. I mean, it sounds very cool. We're like, oh, plane, hotel, show, like, sure, all about it. But it's taxing. It's
just a whirlwind.
Man, I could sleep for more than 3 hours. That would be great. But I mean, it was great, and it was obviously an awesome time, but can be a little strenuous sometimes, but it's also humbling. It's the reality of like, all right, this is the most comfortable touring I've ever done. So I guess I have to find something to complain about, and
Gotcha.
Puts it in perspective slightly.
Gotcha. So tell us a little bit about what you do at Round Guys.
I am their general manager. I've been there for about 5 years. We've done 30 different business transitions since I've been there. And at this point, we just reopened as a brewery and we're trying to make it a venue, I guess. We had the underground across the street.
Were you there when they had the underground?
Wasn't, no.
How long have you been there?
About 5 years. So right after COVID ended, I'm working on it.
Wasn't there when?
It closed in literally almost exactly 4 years ago. So she was working at the restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah,
around
like,
the time
gotcha.
that it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And COVID kind of killed the underground because we couldn't have large gatherings. So
Well
I never
aware.
made it over
Well,
there.
I
It
played
was
the underground.
terrible.
They were only open for what, like a year and a half or something?
Like a 2.
Yeah,
like give or take.
Yeah. I think I played there. It was like almost like quarterly. Like
There was. I mean, because it was the
great spot.
It was, and it wasn't even great. Like it was like great, space wise, or it was, I mean, it was a great location, whatever. But it was a spot that wanted us to do things, which is something that, I mean, anybody in the DIY community of being in a band, whatever, like you're not used to that. And if you are,
and Lansdale
that's
wants
awesome.
that. Lansdale wants that.
It's a town of fucking hustlers that essentially are into tricking people and letting us do things. And then usually it goes south, and that goes south enough times. You have years long lulls that you don't have shows. And like this is one the underground. I went there. I was with some friends. We were eating across the street, and they're like, "Oh, I heard there's like a venue. They're doing like drag shows." And I was like, "Let's go. Let's check it out. It looks like there's one tonight." And we go, and it's just this lit as hell drag show. And I'm just like, "What is this? Like, let me do sit here." And I think I went to Round Guys like the next day and was just like, "Let me do shows here." But yeah, and Round Guys a couple months ago got taken back over by the original owners, essentially, after getting a makeover and a new space in the restaurant. So now it's feasible to kind of do smaller capacity events and whatnot.
It's the guys that own.
So now it's the original Round Guys owners, but it was the gentleman from Butcher and Barkeep up in Harleysville.
Okay,
They did an awesome renovation for us. Food was great. Cocktails.
Yeah,
were
the place
great.
looks great.
That whatever went on, it
It's
didn't.
new owners. It's not the guys from Butcher.
So
and
now we are the original owners. We're
Okay.
the people that own the underground, the people that own the brewery.
I was going to say, because Butcher and Bar keep their food.
It's so good. Oh my
you-
goodness,
if-
they're so good.
If you're in the Lansdale area and you want an amazing meal, not crazy price, like it's not cheap. It's not like
everything's from scratch. Their kitchen's awesome. Their staff's awesome. It's a great spot. They're up in Harleysville, so they're a little bit of a hike. But
yeah, I have a nonprofit, and my friend Margaret, who's on the board, her best friend Emily and her husband Justin, they like to go places like that.
Yeah.
And like we basically did like everybody ordered a different meal, and then we all got appetizers and different cocktails, and we just like split. It was like one of those like share the meal and pass it around.
Yeah.
And it was like everything was. It was cool because it was like I kind of wanted that. So.
Dude, I'm not super well acquainted with their kitchen staff, but their cocktails, they have a 20-year-old kid running their cocktail program. His name's Grant. He is phenomenal. He gets awesome stuff. He can't even try it. He gets the science.
That's awesome.
He's really, really good at what he does. I got to work with him for a couple weeks, and he's awesome.
That's awesome. No, we have a guy in town, Celso.
Okay.
And I had a podcast with him like a year or so ago, and like as Aiden knows how much editing and work goes into a podcast. But we did like kind of like comedy podcast at the Sound Bank.
Yeah.
And just raunchy. Lots of bussy talk.
Great.
Lots, just a lot. And
Bussy.
but no, bussy, yes. But no, Celso is an amazing bartender. Amazing. He has a side mixology company, and he just started a podcast with them. I was actually on his like second episode.
Nice.
So I'll have him on soon. But he works here at Boardroom, which I think Boardroom is based out of Lansdale.
It is, yeah. I've talked to them a little bit about their spot here, and it seems like they're doing really well. I got to go try them out.
Here's the thing, like, so the reason why, I mean, Soundbank had great music.
Yeah.
And Chris Bailey, who I'll have on, who was the owner, he was like, I never wanted to be a restaurant owner. He's like, and me coming from restaurants, my family owned restaurants for 12 years. Like, my dad's quote is, you don't own a restaurant, it owns you. So I was like, I get it.
Yeah, Rachel too. Her family's restaurant people.
They were bad at it. They shouldn't have done it. And they set me up for a life of strife.
See, my dad was, I own a marketing company, and I literally don't work with restaurants because very few people treat their staff like my dad did.
That's my biggest issue with the industry.
Let alone like ran it well, because that's the combo is like somebody that my dad had guys that were cooks that were from South America that worked with him for a decade.
They're family. Like, and they will work their ass off.
My dad,
for you.
like, if they needed to buy a car and they needed a loan, my dad, like, no interest, like, he took care of it. He got burned all the time. Like, and people be like, why are you doing that? Because he just took care of people.
Yeah. Right.
And
that's
like
the philosophy that I take in it. I've worked for I've been doing this for 15 years. I've worked for horrible people.
Yeah.
Everyone that works for me they're my family. I'm grateful to have them every single day.
I'll tell you this right now. This is going into the business. How you treat your staff and how you treat people directly hits your bottom line in your pocket. Like, people see when the staff is being treated well.
Absolutely.
And you have an environment where you have waiters and waitresses working for you for like a decade or years. You know, like that, it's kind of like compound interest. It's
like most of my staff, I'm 25 years old. Most of my staff is older than me. It's a part-time job for them. And I am so grateful for every single one of them every day. And I cannot imagine not being grateful for them. It's a hard industry. I've worked for terrible people. I've been shit on time and time again. Like, when I got into management, I said, I'm not going to do it that way. You don't get the best out of people when
you've seen the movie Waiting, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
Oh yeah.
I was going to stop the show and be like, we're going to watch this right now on my phone. But
I love that movie.
But seriously, like, you hear some of the worst life stories you hear, and the funniest also, are from the restaurant industry. So,
well, because you're working with the general public and people who think that they're professionals because they never got an education or a real job. And it is a very real job if you make it. But most people in the industry do not care about the hospitality aspect. They just want to make a buck.
And that is the key. That's one of the things my dad really like pushed into my brain was like, somebody came up and complained about something, you just take it right off the bill and be like, what? They didn't care. Like, and he'd be like, he's like, yeah, but they come here 4 times a week. Like,
if I treat them well, they'll come back. Like,
he's like, what is it that cheesesteak cost me? This was like 90s, 2000s. He was like,
but yeah,
cheesesteak cost me $3, $2. He's like, if they don't come back, that costs me $3,000 a year or like whatever.
Yep.
You know, it's like, what I'm gonna get. He's like, do you know how much it costs to get a new client in? And that's where the restaurants don't understand is the value of that client coming in pre-marketing dollars is just gold.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of pride in being good at what you do, but there's no pride in being a hospitality worker. Like, you are a servant of the public. And if that's not something you're interested in, don't do it. Yeah. Like, the whole point, I don't care if you're dissatisfied with your experience. I want to fix it. Like, I'm bringing people into my home every single day, and I want them to have the best experience they possibly can. Yeah. If that's not your attitude, you're not going to do well.
Right. And you guys are doing live music there now, right?
We are. It's really cool.
Tell us a little bit more about the live music situation. You're helping with booking a little bit?
Yeah. So I'm like a regular at Round Guys. I have been for years. And like, you know, I was so. Flashback to a year and a half ago. Yeah, that sounds about right. Like, they kind of out of nowhere got bought by this other company. Nobody knew about it. It was kind of in like January of last year, right? I want to say, or like maybe December.
We closed down in January. We reopened in February.
And it was just, you know, like whatever. And it was kind of like the fucking Barbershop 2 movie, like at the end where like the new barbershop opens and it's like fancy and new and everybody, all the regulars come in there. It's like, well, whatever. It was like that. Like, all the regulars went. It's like, it's nice. Like, it wasn't like anybody didn't like it or it wasn't a good business. It was just different. And, you know, some people didn't hang around anymore. A lot of people did because, it generally was always a pretty good vibe there. And, she could tell you, like, the regulars at Roundy's are like a crew of people that are pretty unique. It's,
Yeah, it's a hodgepodge, but we all get along.
It's a brewery,
and we all
but it's
care
kind
a
of
lot
divey.
about each other.
It's a place for, honestly, if you're a lonely person, like most people are,
Come see us.
bars, like
Come drink with us.
People like, all right, you want to talk or you just want to listen? We hang out. It's very, the bar is very low as far as what you have to bring to the table at Round Guys, and I fuck with that. I think that's cool. But yeah, I've done 3 shows so far. But yeah, Roundhouse, the new restaurant, closed in the beginning of this year, and they were like, all right, well, we got to make over out of this. We have room. And I was just like, can I maybe do a show? And you were like, yeah.
Yeah, from the get-go. I was so excited about that, man.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, well, let's, do it, and kind of hit the ground running. And I think I set up a show on my birthday, which is February 25th. And like, it did very well. Like 76 people came out paid. We talked about as far as like, the show set up, like they're like, well, I mean, we cannot charge you if you do it as a benefit. And so I was like, done, like I would be happy to help, anything. Just let me do a show. And then for that one, I actually did it for Chris Brickhouse's Better Days Ahead.
Dude, I love Chris. So I have a nonprofit called Save the Schuylkill.
Okay.
And we're actually going to be working a lot with him now because there's such I just moved to Stowe in March when I came back from Florida.
Right.
And when you come off of the 100 exit, the encampment's almost like right there on the, not when you come off of the exit, it's to the right. So like you don't even see it. But since I've lived there, it's moved all the way down the train tracks. Like every week I've seen it expand. In fact, I saw Chris on, I want to say it was Thursday. Yeah. Cause we did a give back night at, Lock 29. They helped us out. And, Margaret picked me up. She lives like down the street from me. And, Chris was down there with the van, like giving stuff out, and we beeped. And he's such a good guy. He grew up in the music scene too.
Right, that's how I met Chris. Yeah,
such a good guy. I really like. I have a sister that's lived on the streets off and on, like in Westchester, Coatesville area. Yeah, so like I've actually had to like reach out to him a couple times when we can't find her. Mm-hmm. So it's like very much a movement that's very near and dear to my heart. But yeah.
And like when we did that one, we came up with Better Days Ahead pretty fast because there was issues being, talked about in Lansdale specifically about homeless, encampments and issues with homeless people. And there was also like a thing where I was like, all right, well, I don't know. I'm kind of an old punk, so I don't really trust many things. And it's one of those things where I was like, all right, who do I trust to do something like this, to give money to be like, yo, I want this to actually help people. I don't want it to go to, your fucking office party or some shit for the organization you work for or something. But I know Chris, I trust Chris. So I hit him up and he's like, yeah, man. And I was like, I would like this to be as Lansdale centric as possible. And he got me in touch with a woman named Linda Rowland.
Linda's awesome.
Yeah, and she came to the show and we met. And, we were able to give him, because people were giving extra Round Guys through like, at least 100 or if not double that on top of the money that was
I mean the bar gave 100, I gave 100.
We gave them like 1100 at the end of it.
We did really well. That was awesome. That was the best.
I mean, that's $1,100 with 76 people, so we should have on the door had $760. We gave them 1,100, and that's amazing. So it started off great. And Roundy's, the bar does well, so they're like, all right, let's keep doing this. And
we've always been a place like Scott, the brewmaster, our owner, loves music. That's his favorite thing in the world. But he's always been, he doesn't like to do charity on his own. He likes to do charity through his business. And since he's opened, he's been a pillar of the community. Awesome. People have their thoughts and opinions about what we do, but Scott has always been one to like, if somebody needs help, we're there for them.
Yeah.
I told you she had more to chime in on.
Of course. I mean,
this is my life. Round Guys is my life.
See, everybody has a passion. That's what this.
I love Lansdale. I love my bar. I love my community, and
hell yeah,
I'm grateful to have Dave, to know Dave, and to have him help us bring some light into the shitty world that we're all living in. Like,
well, yeah. I mean, it's so Scott, the guy she's just talking about, like he is also, him and his partners were the people that opened the underground. So they were people that wanted things to happen. They wanted, and it was, I don't
really
think
looking to build this community. So.
Yeah. And they may have not even been aware that there was as much around that there is, but they found out very quickly, and the underground started to be very successful very quickly, which was awesome. But then, COVID came, and, on March 17th of 2020, the last show happened there, and it was great. It was a banger. But, then the world ended, and they closed because, it's a business. They had no business coming in. So now it's office, cubicles for
like
backyard beans,
office.
I think.
It's so sad.
Is it really?
So sad.
In a basement?
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was, the principle of like, oh, hey, we had somewhere that wanted us to do something was still there with Roundies. And they still did drag shows and stuff, even during COVID outside in like the alleyway. And, punk rock flea markets, shows, they were still happening, but outside. Which, is great, but it only, it's kind of limiting in a lot of ways.
Sure.
Really seasonal.
Yeah, right. But with this switch over, I mean, it was within, I think, under a week where we were talking about doing shows. And then first one went well. I immediately booked the second one, third one. I have a fourth one in June, Sunday, June 9th with Froggy, 25th Hour from Lancaster, and Floorbird from
Dude, I honestly like
around here.
So I love
Lansdale,
Floorbird.
yeah.
Like Kevin actually produced the last EP Sunblind did.
Gotcha. I've learned more because working back at Cold Cuts where I work again, a lot of people have dealt with him with recording, and I've learned he's very good at it. So
Really good.
it's kind of cool to. I'm looking forward to booking Floorbird because last time I saw him was the release show. You were there too, right?
I think so.
Yeah, and at the Polish Club.
Yeah.
Dude, they're really good. I mean, like, I'm gonna ask you this question in a minute, but like, if you want to check out a really good local band that shouldn't just be a local band, Floorbird. I've known Eric for, in fact, Alex Sadek just tried calling me. I've known Eric through Alex Sadek for I don't even know how long, probably since 2015, 16. And they're like, I would describe them as, think musically kind of the Wonder Years in a little bit meets Dashboard Confessional. More of the vocals are a little bit more dashboardy.
I was gonna say a little less intense, but
a little less intense,
really deep.
But like, really, like, just you've like,
Yeah.
they have all their
great.
stuff online is amazing. Like, go online and watch them, check them out, listen to their music. I was gonna actually ask you, like, if you could shout out like 3 local bands in this area that you think everybody should check out.
Okay, how local we talking?
However you define local, man. Like, whoever, like, that's part of the show is like, I really want to, I feel this area, especially like Phoenixville where we're at. I mean, Lansdale is also I feel like Lansdale is like the twin sister on the other side of 476.
A magnet scene.
We have, I mean, you've been to the Philly music scene. Like, there are like some really good bands in Philly, but there's also a lot of like really bad bands. And like, but I feel like the suburbs has some of the most talented musicians I've ever seen.
I would agree.
So like far more than Philly, where you think with that many people in Philly, there would be more, it would be the opposite.
Right.
You would think like we'd be scraping for some really good acts out here when in reality, like, I've gone to shows, like local shows in Philly, and like maybe one of the bands will really blow me away, maybe 2, but like there's 4 bands. Whereas here, like, you could go out and be like, holy shit, how'd they get this lineup? Like,
right. All right. So right off the bat, I would say probably Brandish is a big one for me. Because I've known the guys in Brandish, well, at least, most of the guys for a very long time. And like, just musically, that's more of a band that I like. I watched my scene go to like from a hardcore scene to a pop punk scene to an indie scene, everyone you want to call it. So to have a band that is like actually like a tight, well executed thrash band come out of like, members of, band or, people that live in my area, I was like, yo, fuck yeah.
they were all in like every band basically.
So, I mean, and they played the first show I did at Roundies. I was like, all right, this is an easy fit. I would love to see it. So them, LMI, I have to give shout outs to LMI constantly because they're a band that doesn't need to be like the hype band. They're a band that really loves doing what they do.
LMI?
LMI, yeah. They've been a band for well over a decade.
Really?
I mean, Will's, I think those guys are like in their early 30s. But I mean, they're a great band, and they're like
music?
more like a punk band.
Okay.
Kind of thrashy at times, but they're very unique. That's the thing. It's kind of hard for me to, even as someone that listens to that type of stuff, it's kind of hard for me to put a pin on it. But they're also like true DIY people. Like they do tours. They've done out to the West Coast. They've done Europe.
Okay.
Will, the singer, he also works at Cold Cuts, but he's been to Japan a bunch of times just to, go into shows and stuff. Like he's a true like scenester, like DIY kid. He's just like, yeah, I just like doing this. I'm going to do it no matter what. So there's this kind of, there's these bands, popping up, trying to do it, get out there, do, get signed, do other. Then it's like, nah, we're good, man. Like we're just going to do this the way we want to do it.
Yeah.
So I feel like
makes
LMI
sense.
is very inspirational in that way. Someone that's been around for a long time and seen those guys come out. They're younger than me, but it's the same kids. They went to high school together. They grew up together. And, it's just it's a nice thing to see a band go unchanged and not take over the world, just do their thing, still play out, still play in other countries, know. So LMI is another one. So let's see, British LMI. Oh man, I feel like I'm put on the spot.
There's too many.
There really is.
Lansdale has a lot of really good bands.
Yeah, and it's a good problem to have.
I'm gonna ask you the same question in a minute, so you can.
Yeah, start thinking. Here you go, West Main. West Main's a newer pop punk band. Started from Lansdale, and they're good. Like they get it.
I know all those. They're all from. So when I got divorced in 2015, I was in now Sunblind, but Awaking Mercury,
right?
And the only time I really went to local shows was like if I was playing it, because when you gotta you do some compromise when you're in a relationship, and as soon as I was divorced, it was like. At least 2 local shows a weekend.
Right.
Like, it's just like, why not? Like, now I can go see all the people I'm friends with.
Yeah.
Because there were guys that, like, I was friends with for a decade, and I never seen their band play just because, what it's like. You're like, hey, man, can you guys do the show June 9th? And they're like, oh, we're playing in Phil. Like, you just, sometimes it just never happens. But that's where I all those guys were in different bands, hardcore bands and different punk bands and stuff. So, like, I know all those guys, they're really good.
Yeah.
West Main.
They're a guitar player. Actually, he's the singer now. He was the original guitar player, Billy Andrew. He's a good dude.
He's a really good guy.
I really have, because I've gotten to hang out with him a lot recently. He works at the shop, and just with him booking shows, I've just talked to him a bunch, and he seems like he gets it, man. I mean, but don't get me wrong, he's a kid. I'm just like, any situation I will find something wrong with. I'm, a pro with that.
Right.
And any person I meet, I'll be like, all right, what am I going to hate about this motherfucker? But with him, I'm like, all right, you seem to really get it, and you seem to actually really want to do it, and like want to like kind of play by not follow the footsteps, but play by the rules and like do your own thing, and like that you kind of got to do a lot of shit yourself. To be taken seriously in any sort of a music scene, being from the suburbs is a wild thing. It's a very wild.
That's kind of the problem with being in a local band is like, it's kind of like every person in the band needs to do that shit.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, you don't, like, it's honestly what, one guy usually?
Usually, yeah. I would say most bands that do well, like at least, starting off, local band, however you want to say it, usually have one person calling all the shots.
And part of the problem is sometimes, like, that person is the only person that has, like, does anything with social media.
Yeah.
Like, literally, like, that's another thing with musicians. A lot of them are like, I don't do that shit. No, but it's like, do you want to do this for, like...
Right. It's unfortunately like a,
like you have to do that shit.
Cool. Like, I get you don't want to do it. Like, I don't want it. There's lots of things I don't want to do with this
unless
stuff.
you want to be a hobby musician, you have to do it. Yeah. Like, you have to.
And you have to do it like it's your fucking job. Like, not only you have to do it, you need to, like, in not an annoying way. That's the one advice. The thing I'll give an advice to, like, local musicians is, like, figure out a low key way to be like, hey, we're playing this, but also only invite people that go to shows. Like. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wild thing, man. And it's crazy to see like shows happening again just in general, on the rise at least. You see it's like, it's the same things, but, all different. It's, being in a band's different. But there's actually people that want to be in bands again, which is something I haven't seen in years. There's a new band called Curse of the Capricorn. And this dude Dylan that I've known for a while, he was the original guitar player of Merit. He's like more of a metal dude, and I haven't seen him in a couple of years, but last time I saw him, he wasn't doing too well, and honestly, I wasn't either. But we kind of gotten like, went out to a, bubble tea place and caught up, and he's a shredder. He's a great musician, and he's someone that I never knew that well, but I was like, all right. And the last time I saw him, it was kind of like, oh man, like I hope he pulls out all right. Like, he's a neighborhood kid. I want to see him do all right. But I saw him 2 days ago at the, Brad Parsons Bucks Bon Bonzaroo thing. And I'm like, yo, dude, like, how are you? And he's like, honestly, man, I'm really good. And I'm like, that's great. He's like, how are you? I'm like, I'm good too. And he's like, yeah, I got 4 years sober. And I was like, dude, that's amazing. Because I remember the last time I saw him being like, this dude's going to be fucking dead if, he doesn't make a change, unfortunately. And
so tell me.
He did, and that's great. That's and awesome. It was really good to catch up with him. But I'm at maybe throwing a Hail Mary show in less than 2 weeks at Roundy's for that band. And what I was going to say is that the singer of his band is this dude, Andy. I call him Taco Bell Andy because I met him because he worked at Taco Bell. And he's like this kid in high school that, was like into like deathcore. I don't know, some Warped Tour shit,
right.
a decade ago. But he found me online. He would always, ask me about like, yo, is anything going on? Shows, bands, whatever. And I, would always send him things, but I never saw him. Then one time I saw him at Wawa with a bunch of kids his own age. And like, they're wearing like Misfits gear. And I'm like, all right. He's like, yeah, we got band practice. I was like, fuck yeah, dude. Taco Bell Andy starting a band. So flash forward to like, 2-3 days ago, I see, my friend Dylan, and he's like, yeah, dude, like, this dude Andy Smith. I'm like, Taco Bell fucking Andy, man. So
Taco Bell Andy. Shout out to you, Taco Bell Andy. This episode is sponsored by Taco Bell Andy.
Also, shout out to Northborough Taco Bell in Lansdale, reopened finally.
Yeah, no more Long John Silver.
Yeah, my dad is bummed.
No more diarrhea for you guys.
My dad, Stephen Heck, is sincerely upset about.
You like
the loss of
shrimp
Long
and
John.
diarrhea?
Do we have the spot for you?
We got the spot.
Where else could you get seafood and tacos in the same place? That's
The state
a tragedy.
of California.
Tragedy.
What you guys call tacos is not what I call tacos.
True.
We have church right up the street here.
Which
So
one?
we've got El Limon too. We have good tacos.
Are you talking about Three Brothers?
Three Brothers.
Yeah, that spot's good.
So they're like, this is, it's probably going to be brought up all the time, but they are open till like 2 a.m. on the weekends. Sometimes they push it a little longer.
I saw you there once.
You absolutely.
I don't remember what year
I don't
it was.
remember.
I just remember walking by and you were like,
yeah. That is like 90% of the conversations in front of Three Brothers at 2 a.m. is, yeah.
I did eat there a few times, though, and that spot's good. They have another spot in Harleysville that they opened up.
They have like 5.
Yeah.
They have 4 in the area and then 1 in Guatemala.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I did not know that.
One brother had to, I think the one brother went down for like, I think somebody passed away.
Oh, that's a shame.
I don't think he could get back. I love Aeneas. Yeah. I think he opened up like, I think he's got like 2 locations down there. Honestly, the food he posts the pictures. The pictures look like the seafood because I think there's like somewhere near some body of water. I don't know what side.
So we're all going to Guatemala soon.
Right? I call it. So Pastor Tom Flott, who was in Stoke. Yeah, Tom. I'm gonna have him on. We call him Pastor Flott because he's always there to bless our meals and preside over the service, the communion we have at Three Brothers.
Top notch guy.
We actually talked a couple weekends ago. I barely remember the conversation, but I was like, I think we need a missions trip down to the other church down in Guatemala. You nailed it. Like that's exactly.
Count me in. I'll be there.
Yeah, exactly. We already have plenty of people that want to go on this missions trip. So
we're going to Guatemala.
Maybe Off the Record can sponsor a missions trip to Guatemala. We'll see. We'll see what we can do.
I'm a Christian now. We going.
I converted them.
I'm Jewish. I'm still going.
Hey, we welcome all. I am very not Jewish.
Tacos are for the people.
From day 8 of my life, I was not Jewish. If you catch my drift. Sweaterheads. But all right. So you just gave 3 bands. Do you have 3 local bands you want to shout out?
I feel like I can't shout out local bands without saying that I appreciate every band that has played at my bar. They're all awesome.
But you know enough.
Every local band will be shouted out at some point on the show.
I'm sure, but they're all fantastic. But I will say, West Main was one of mine. I fucking love them. They're great. They're
good,
so much
man.
fun.
They're definitely in their like pocket right now. Like
Billy's fantastic. I talked to him at the last show they played at Panico's, which the Panico shows are awesome. If anyone gets a chance to go to whatever the next one is, they're phenomenal.
He's done 2 absolute bangers.
Yeah,
really.
He's excellent.
Year,
They're so much fun to see live. They're
and they
excellent
do
performers.
More.
I've never been to Panico's.
Yeah.
So.
Dude, Panico's is a cultural experience.
You're gonna have to. You're gonna
I know Lansdale.
Whoever
does my God.
who does the booking there.
It is the diviest of dive bars with the most wholesome community. Like it's so much fun.
Really accurate. Actually, Billy from West Main is the one that has done both
Billy?
of them. Yeah,
Cool.
Yeah. He's excellent.
And I believe the understanding I have is that they want him to do more. Cool. And he
I
wants
hope
to
they do
more,
more.
but he wants to take his time, make sure everything's good.
Wants to do it right.
Right. Exactly.
I want him to do
And
something
again,
with me, but I like
well, I told him, I was like, dude, like
I talked to him at that show.
This is anybody's venue. This isn't like my spot.
Yeah,
so.
I talked to him at that show, and I think he's pretty committed to doing things at Panico's. I would love to, like me at Lauren at Panico's. We're sharing the wealth. We go back and forth all the time about what's going on, and we support each other. Lansdale's a huge it's an excellent community, you know.
Yeah.
Lansdale business supports
absolutely.
Lansdale business.
That's the one thing I love about Lansdale is like how much, not only the music scene, but like business wise too.
Just, the whole town just wants the town to succeed. It's the best place to live. It's phenomenal. It's the best community I've ever been a part of. It's fucking awesome. But West Main is up there. They're so much fun to see live. Everyone in that band is talented. They're fun. They're community oriented. They're dope people. I have to talk about Amora because I love Billy Z. Like he's fantastic.
I love how far they've gotten in the last couple years.
Oh yeah, well, and everything he's doing it like Billy himself at Sellersville Theater. He's putting on awesome shows. He's really like growing into his own.
A good job.
He worked for us before I ever worked at Round Guys.
Oh, did he? Cool.
So we met way after the fact, but Billy is very dear to our hearts. We love Billy.
I know he has a twin brother.
I do.
He does, Mike.
I do. I don't know his brother.
Also a good dude.
I think I met his brother like randomly at a show. Like,
You're like, oh, it's Billy, and it's not.
Yeah.
No, I love Billy. I have not met his twin brother.
Yeah, Mike's cool. I fuck with Mike Z.
I've played enough shows with. I played a lot of shows with early Amora.
Yeah.
Not enough with new Amora because new Amora.
Billy is an excellent performer. I've watched him over the years. I've seen him a million times, and he has really grown into himself. Like,
have you seen him in a trash can?
I haven't seen him in a trash can.
Rachel.
What is
You
that
have
even?
not. This is a clip.
Okay.
You have not experienced Billy Z playing a show until you've experienced Billy Z standing in a trash can while people carry him over their shoulders while he's screaming into the microphone.
Okay, I'm gonna request that of him. I don't know.
It should be in the rider for every show.
I'll get that
Should be
motherfucker in a trash can. I got you.
All right, I will. I'll carry Billy. I feel like I could lift him. I'll carry Billy in a trash can.
I'll give him a choice, but it'll happen.
Also in the rider, you have to know they can't flip the trash can over on him because I saw him freak out. And I kind of
why? No,
I kind of get that too. Like if you were trapped in a trash can, it's upside down, like a rat. And like,
I don't want Billy to be a rat.
I don't want Billy to be a rat either. We don't want that to happen again.
No,
Sorry, Billy. I don't think I was a part of that, but I don't remember. That might have been the Nightmare Factory, where also the Wonder Years Nightmare Factory. Yeah.
Wait, the one at the Nightmare Factory?
The Nightmare Factory.
Wonder Years never played there. They practiced there.
Oh, I know they never played there.
Yeah.
But wait, you have one more band to shout out, and then let's close up the show with talking about the Nightmare Factory because
oh god,
yeah.
It's gonna
all right, what's your third band?
There are too many to choose from. I feel like I have to shout out fucking Modern Culture because of Brad. Like,
and
they're awesome. They're so much fun to see.
So proud of my son.
Brad motherfucking Parsons.
That's also how I describe him. Brad.
He put on the best show that I've been able to support this past Saturday. He did the Bucksmont Bonzaroo, which was formerly the Percy Porch Fest. It got split up into like 15 different businesses, and like everyone who participated, I thank them. It was awesome that we got to keep that thing going. But
it was really
Brad
good.
brought
Brad
so many
nailed it.
awesome people to my doorstep. It was phenomenal. It was an awesome day. Brad is so much fun to watch perform. His band is fantastic. He just joined them. They've been performing together for a while, and he's a new addition. But like
him and I have been talking about doing some shows because he's like Modern Cultures would totally vibe with Sunblonde. We should. I'm like,
they're great.
Like, all you had to say was like, let's play a show, dude.
Yeah,
dude, they are so good. I know nothing about music, but I love to see it. Like,
cool.
They're so much fun to watch. Brad is so much fun to watch. And out of everyone that I've worked with so far in the scene, doing shows at Round Guys, like working with Brad and Modern Culture was just a joy. They're really about supporting local musicians. The whole band. They're about the scene, and I really fucking love it. They were so much fun to watch. They closed out our show. It was excellent.
Hell yeah. What was that closing note that I wanted? What was the
the Nightmare
Louisiana
Factory.
trash can?
Bill? I feel like I should close out every show with Billy Z in the trash can. So Nightmare Factory.
Yes.
I'm gonna get. I know you haven't been there. You're 25. That would have been
The Nightmare Factory.
when did the Nightmare Factory close? Not that it should. It should probably.
There was the Nightmare Factory.
Nightmare Factory.
Yes. Yo, I feel like I'm like. So you know where Cold Cuts is?
Yes.
Are they still in that shop?
Yeah.
So go past Cold Cuts where you're like, where the fuck am I?
Okay.
And now you're at the build. Is the building even there?
It's not. They demolished it. They have a huge storage warehouse
as
there
they
now.
should have.
All right.
But
Because
before
the water was not potable. First,
Yeah.
that's where I learned what the word potable.
potable, yeah.
Also, the things that happened in that bathroom, I'm not going to talk about in the show.
Bro, you're not going to talk about it. So, then...
Very happy to be
Nightmare
25.
Factory was a place that we practiced at, and then eventually there was a big common room that we started doing shows at. And this was a dilapidated building that had no business being used for anything. Besides
the downstairs, do you know what the downstairs was used for at all?
I don't remember. I think it was like an internet company or telephone marketing something. There was some weird shit, I think.
Here's the thing is, I don't know. And like, there were people in it while shows were going on.
Yeah.
And it almost sounded like there was like production, like grinding, like fucking, like machinery going on. And we're like,
yeah, I mean
punk and hardcore shows going on in a dilapidated building upstairs.
And downstairs, there's just metal grinding.
And you just see there was a door, and you could just see the lights on, and you could hear stuff go, like, bizarre.
Yeah.
It was
Sounds like my kind of place.
and the bathroom was like half the size of this room.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was so gross.
It was weird. It was, yeah.
And like nobody spent more time there than I did. So I want to say they started doing stuff there. Bo started doing stuff there in 2014. I want to say maybe 15. There's no earlier than that.
15, because that's when I got divorced, and that was when I say I went to shows.
Yeah,
Nightmare Factory.
Gotcha.
I would show up with wine, and I would show up with wine glasses and cigars, and it'd be like probably kids underage drinking.
Yeah,
they were definitely drinking like Natty Lights and smoking the.
Sorry, I missed it. I would have been there.
Yeah, but I would show up and I would have a wine glass, and I would just be like drinking wine and smoking cigars outside, and they'd be like, "Who the fuck are you?" Like,
dude, I was the one that I was supposed to be chaperoning these shows when the shows happened. Like, Bo was like, "Yo, can you just like be an adult and watch, make sure people don't die?" I'm like, "Yeah, man."
I wasn't,
and I'm like blasted on Twisted Teas, just hanging out front, like making fun of people, talking shit to 15-year-olds. Like, I was making sure everything was okay.
There was one girl I talked to, and then somebody's like, "You know, she's." I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like, "I'm like, I was just having conversation with her, and then when they're like, "Oh, she's like 17," I was like, "Never mind. I'm not even talking to her." Like,
yeah. Like, it was kind of nice that I was the chaperone or whatever, because I was like, all right, I'm just an old dude here. Like,
I need a frame of reference for my age. When was this place open? When did this place close?
2015.
9 years ago.
And I want to say they closed.
Oh, yeah, no, I was not around.
Later, a year later, maybe two?
No, I think they closed, I want to say 2018 or... Yeah,
that sounds about right.
2018 might have been 17. So like 3 years. I want to say. Well, I want to say 15 to 18. So it was probably like 2 years.
So The Greatest Generation, the Wonder Years album, was written at the Sandwich Mill in Lansdale. Well, technically it's Tallamenson. Not technically, it is Tallamenson. But and then the next record after The Greatest Generation is No Closer to Heaven, correct?
Yes.
And that was written at the Nightmare Factory.
Yeah. Every show there would be kids be like, "Did you know the Wonder Years? The Wonder Years are their stuff is upstairs. The Wonder Years wrote blah, blah, blah." Like it was basically like the folklore of Lansdale. Like it was the Wonder Years folklore, because people are like, they might show up, maybe they forgot a chord, maybe they forgot a pedal. Like everybody was. I think at one point there was rumor that somebody from the Wonder Years showed up, and they're like, "No, that was somebody from like."
It's probably me.
Yeah, Punked on being stoked, or like it was like that was Tom Flott, like yeah. But no, like that it was a weird. It was a 2-story building,
and the shows were upstairs. Everything we did was upstairs.
The bathroom was downstairs, right at the entrance.
Okay.
It was this huge room that could have had like 3 stalls. At least.
It was larger than it needed to be.
Yeah, and there was a fucking office chair in there all the time. Like
in the bathroom?
Yeah, I remember sitting there. Like there was a girl I was seeing at the time, and like I remember just like sitting there.
We could make something happen in here.
And then the upstairs was this. You went in, and there were like hallways to the left, and then there's this big room, but there were still like these doors on the right and behind the stage area, kind of. And there was just these little rooms that were like half the size of this, and I think bands kept all their stuff in there.
Yeah, there was like a bunch of rooms that were rented by bands or like groups of bands, and then there was one hourly room that bands like that didn't have a room there. Like we kept it open for anybody that might need it. And oftentimes I would be the one that had to like open it for them, so I'd be just hanging out,
And then there was one room that they would put like all the bands would put their stuff in, and there was literally like the floor was torn up.
It looked like
dry ceiling. Like it looked like it was.
Sounds good.
It was in the
like
middle
movie Saw.
of like demolition. And you're like, what? Like it made.
Sounds like somewhere that I would love to see a show.
And if it was raining when you came up the stairs, like
was
that
wet.
corner, yeah, there was absolutely like.
Well, come to Round Guys if you missed that because it is always wet when
and
it
there was
rains.
ticks everywhere.
It's always wet when
always wet
when
when
Luke
it rains.
Eccles plays. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yep.
There was ticks everywhere too.
Were there really?
Yeah, and I was dumping vinegar all out that John, man. I was like, you try because it's like a natural way to try and prevent against it. And it was just it did nothing. Like I had a couch there that's now Double A Studios is now where bands practice. They used to practice at the Nightmare Factory that's in the same complex but at a different spot. That building's still there, obviously. But it was
better than the Nightmare Factory building.
Yeah, like my couch from my old apartment.
I don't know what that means though, because anything could be a shed could be better than the Nightmare Factory.
I spent a lot of fucking time there, dude, and like I was not doing well. I was messed up all because I lived right down the road with my parents at the time, and like I was just going there being debaucherous, and
it was literally out in the like. It was kind of a junkyard. Like
it was.
So at the time, Awakening Mercury had this bass player that was going to Valley Forge Christian College, and he like grew up going to like a small Christian school where he had like 10 people in his class.
Neat.
Middle class family. So he was very sheltered. And we show up to play at the Nightmare Factory. And we were like, I was like, let's just drop our stuff off and go get food. And he's like, I'm not leaving my car here. Like he was so scared. Like it was literally kind of like there was like a forklift that was abandoned.
Yeah.
And like stored like not
there was a lot of like construction equipment and stuff.
It was just, like it was the middle of nowhere. Like it wasn't like it was like North Philly and you're like, oh my God, like my car is gonna be on blocks when I come back.
There's nobody around here.
I mean, there were probably bodies buried somewhere in the fields. Like let's be honest, the mafia is everywhere.
They're already dead. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they're not.
It doesn't matter.
But like he was so freaked out by the Nightmare Factory.
That's understandable.
It's understandable, but also like travel a little bit, kid. You know,
go outside, touch grass.
Yeah, go somewhere other than a Christian college. I don't know. Like
I definitely played in some fucking sketchball ass neighborhoods with different places to practice, so I can appreciate it. But yeah, Hatfield is not it.
No,
you're safe.
Oof. So you want to shout out? You guys want to shout out anything for the end of the show at all?
I want to shout out myself and my bar. Book a show with us, play a show with us, see a show with us. I don't care.
Host
Round
events.
Guys Brewery in Lansdale, Pennsylvania. Like we're trying to bring people to the suburbs. I don't know.
We'll be chatting.
Outside of Doylestown.
We'll be chatting.
Yeah, love to.
But I mean, it's very nice to come here and talk to somebody, especially because I've had to have known that you're my age, but I swear to God, I did not believe it when you told me again. But I also stopped drinking, so maybe I'll remember this time. But yeah, I mean, shout out to honestly Philly metro region in general because like it's always been a great music scene around here. It's just it goes in waves, it ebbs and flows, and like recently it's just been bubbling again. And it's just there's no better way to like it's so good, and like I'm so proud of everyone. I'm so happy, and it's just so cool to be doing shit. Like I'm lucky enough to be doing shows like I'm doing, but like the shows I'm booking are like the shit I've always done. It's not like I'm doing anything grand or anything, but it's cool that I'm not the only one. It's cool that there's other people doing shit, and it's cool that we have places like Round Guys that are like, yeah, we want you to do this. It's very similar to the Polish Club here. Like the Polish Club, they know their role. And they see the importance of what they do.
I'm gonna have Soda on really soon.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, you have to.
I've known Soda for well over a decade now.
Yeah. I mean, so have I. Yeah. I mean,
I can't even remember his real name.
Honestly, I've known Soda for about two.
I can't even remember.
John Huster.
Of course, it's John.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Nah, it's cool, and like just like Philly's on fire right now. The Philly suburbs are doing good too. It's a good. There's maybe been no better time to be in a band from this area.
Hell yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing that trajectory can continue. And yeah, thanks for having us on.
It's what I'm really looking to do, man. Is really cultivate what's going on in the Philly area scene, but also beyond that. But like I said, I really believe we have some of the best talent in the area out here in the suburbs compared to like statistically it should be in the city. Yeah. And there are some really good bands in the city, but I know some really talented people out here that are just like they need that push.
I think it's just because like most scenes, most cities, that's they're magnet scenes. It's people go, kids that grew up an hour outside the city move to the city, do that, and we're no different from that here. That definitely happens, but there's so much music. And there always has been. I think there's a spillover of that where like, all right, there's like, if you know, at least in my experience with the hardcore scene, like we can do hardcore shows on the suburbs. We don't have to put up with things we don't like, and, you know, in other areas and stuff like that. And it's cool to see that, you know, that fruition, you know, continue to kind of thrive in its step.
Sure. One last thing I want to leave everybody with.
Yes.
What is the best advice you can give to somebody that's in a band or starting to be a musician? What's some really good advice you can give them to get themselves out there or to hone their craft and kind of try to do it as a living? Because I mean, we're at that age where you're just like, I'm doing this for fun, or I'm doing this for a living, or it's a balance of the both. It's, you know, like we have our day jobs, but this is what keeps us sane. You know, what advice can you give? Let's say, I mean, it could apply to somebody that's graduating high school and going out into the world, or somebody that's 10 years out of high school and trying to figure it out, because we're all trying to figure it out. So
you have to belong to it. To really want it, to really want to do it, you have to just immerse yourself. It's just like a language. It's just like a relationship. You have to belong to it. You have to want to do it. You know, it's like there's people that, you know, it's a weird thing to say. There's people that want to do it. You know, oh, I want to play in a band. I want to, you know, make money, do whatever. There's people that get it, you know, do it. There's bands from suburbs that, you know, never had to try that hard, you know, just like they're, you know, all over the world. But
sure,
you got to know that you're, you know, there's not always going to be another, you know, just because one band makes it does not mean that another band is going to make it. You can be better than that band, and the stars are not aligned. You know, the trajectory is not on the same course. So you have to love it. You know, you have to belong to it. You have to love it for when it's bad. You have to love it for when it's good. You have to just want to do it. You have to be there for the fucking 3 a.m. drives home from New York City. You have to be there when you have no money and you're lying to your parents for months about your situation financially. And
lie to your parents, kids.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is that to belong to it on any sort of a do-it-yourself level and everything, if you really want to do it, you have to lie. You have to lie to yourself. Yeah. You have to tell yourself something's feasible. It's not. Yeah. You have to believe in yourself, which is a really fucking hard thing to do. And basically the first time and only time I've ever believed in myself was through the music scene. So did it for me. I did it. You just got to do it.
Be the scene.
Yeah.
One last thing, dude. All right, so you you stopped drinking. This is big thing I want part of my show, because I lost 70 pounds in the last year.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit. You say you lost 45?
45, yeah.
Tell me a little bit the mindset of why and how you got to that. What helped?
So I started drinking when I was 30. So just about 10 years ago, just over. And I was, you know, not doing well. It was not a thing I chose willingly. It was kind of a better option than doing other things.
Sure.
And, you know, my life went downhill pretty fucking fast. And I had thankfully done enough with my life before that where I was kind of okay with it. And I was like, all right, well, I had a cool run at this. You know, I'll just drink myself to death like a, you know, true winner. And especially, you know, playing in Aaron West, it was very easy to adhere to that, you know, kind of storyline and vibe. I was just like, well, this is what I'm doing.
Kind of fits the storyline that he
really does.
That he interviews you about.
Yeah. I mean, it happens, but yeah, it was something that I just like. It had been 10 years, and like Rachel can attest. When we met, you know, I was drinking pretty bad, and it was getting worse. And, you know, like a true addict, I was like, I don't have a problem. I'm fine. But then, you know, I'm, you know, drunk texting, you know, my friends that just, you know, care about me, just want me to be okay. And I'm like, I have no friends. Like, shit, that just, what are you fucking saying?
Right.
And, you know, my parents have always been worried sick about me. My health has never been that great. So, you know, it was
same.
just, it was really just a growing up moment where I just woke up. It was Tuesday, September 5th. I woke up. It was the day after Labor Day. And I was just like, I think I'm good. Like, did you ever see Orgasmo, the movie? By Trey Parker or Matt Stone.
I don't remember. Aside from, wasn't Pee Wee Herman in that?
What an association!
I don't remember. He might have been. I don't think so though. But there's just a part of that where he's like, hey Dad, I'm gonna stop doing hamster style, like talking about karate. He's just like, okay, and like that's it. That's like I just woke up. I was like, I'm gonna stop drinking. And I was just like to myself, like, all right, probably time. But it had to happen. You know, it's also a big thing, honestly, was the Aaron West record. You know, if you've listened to it, a big part of the story is revealed where it's, you know, I felt like I couldn't knowingly be releasing the best record I've ever played on in like, you know, a quarter century career in music and just be a fucking mess and just, you know, be like, yeah, you know, trash the whole time doing, you know, the same thing I've been doing for a decade. And it was motivation for me to be like, hey, I gotta do better. I got like this last shot. Like, you know, I'm in the middle of touring right now. I might not get to do that again. You know, I'm 41. I'm lucky to be able to do it now. So,
dude, that song that he has, again, like I've had some whiskey, but like the song about being in a bar fight, and like, and the cops said you should probably lay low. Like, that is like,
you don't want problems with the crew that runs with those guys.
Yeah, dude. Like that again. That's where his like singer songwriter stuff. It's like.
And also knowing people like Aaron West, I heard him describe it a couple months ago as, it's like almost like an amalgamation of like every person I've ever known. It's like people that I know that I still see all the time that I met once, years ago.
Sure.
That I could just get some sort of a vibe of like your experience could work for something, that I could see and I could get something out of it. And, I don't want to give away anything for anybody that hasn't heard the record, but inherently help people, I feel like, because the running theme with this new record is that it's a very inspirational story ending.
Awesome. Yeah.
And not to say that's an ending of course, but it, is leaning towards that way. And,
journey. It's part of the journey.
Right. So yeah, it's,
what would you say mentally really helped you push? Because again, like whenever you talk to somebody that loses weight or in a healthy way and really pushes that part of their life, it's never like what they were eating or what they were drinking. It's always the mental.
Oh yeah,
it's always
100%.
It's always the mental. It has nothing to do with the physical because the mental is the strongest part of it.
Well, it's just like with the band thing. You have to belong to it. You have to want to do it. You have to just say, all right, whatever it's going to take, I'm going to fucking do it. And that's the bottom line. And then for me, it was just simple as, all right, I should probably stop drinking and, we'll see what happens. We'll see how good I get with it. And, here we are, pushing 9 months later, and it's been the best thing I could have ever possibly done. So it's nice. As you guys pour your addicted selves.
Well, I would love to speak to this as a bartender and a great.
Pour it a little bit, but we just I want to end it with a toast. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just mean I've been Dave's bartender for years. Like he's a regular at my bar, and I love him so much, and I'm so proud of where he is today.
Dude, she cried when she heard I stopped drinking.
Oh, I did. He didn't even say it to me. I bawled my eyes
like,
out.
When you texted me, you're like, I was like, hey man, what do you want for a drink of choice? And you're like, Wawa, blah blah. I was like, yeah, but as a mixture, and you're like, and I was like, dude, respect. Like I took a huge part of my thing was last year was taking like a 4-month break from drinking just to like get my metabolism going. But keep going.
Well, I will say as a bartender, I am aware every single day that I am serving people poison, right? Like it's an issue that I deal with, not to the same capacity as some of the people that I worry about, but like there is nothing in your life that will be lessened by you stopping drinking. If you are someone that has a problem with alcohol consumption, like I would so much rather have someone come into my bar and order a soda or a water and just sit down and have a nice conversation than watch somebody decay in front of my face. It's a really difficult job to have. I love to drink. Most people do. Yeah. But like it's a fucking poison. And if you can't handle it, don't handle it. You have so much to offer to the fucking world. There is so much about you that is not related to your drinking or your addiction or whatever the fuck. Just being able to sit down and interact with people is the most important part of coming and sitting at a bar. Drinking is not it. Like, and that's all.
And really speaking on that, that was a big part that helped me just keep up with it. Was like I could still hang out. Like it's not hard for me. Once again, like you said, once you want to do it, once you belong to the idea, it's fairly easy to employ. But I just kept hanging out. I'd still go around, and now they just out of nowhere brewed a seltzer, like a non-alcoholic, and it's diet too seltzer. It tastes like clearly
it's
Canadian.
Delightful. It's so
it's
good.
really good.
And
like you guys did.
We did, and it's non-alcoholic.
It's like one of those things where they have sodas.
When you get back, let's meet up at Round, guys, and yeah.
Would love to.
Yeah, like we are a brewery for the people. I want everyone to feel comfortable to come see shows with us, come hang out with us. Like drinking is not a fucking requirement for being involved in our community.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's food. There's other stuff.
There's food. There's non-alcoholics and just fucking good company. It's if anyone is struggling with drinking, which don't.
As far as bars, venues, however you know, it is very unlike what we are used to dealing with. So, shout out to Lansdale, as per always.
Listen, man, I know we're not close, but I'm super proud of you for quitting drinking.
Thank you.
Seriously, like that's not an easy thing. And I guess this is ironic, but Toast to Dave, man.
So, cheers to Dave.
Cheers.
Enjoy it for me.
Seriously, dude. Cheers.
Thank you. It's incredibly easy with friends like I have, and it's the support system, the family that I have, like my girlfriend, my friends, just everybody is. It's very easy to pull off when you have things in line like that. So
boundaries.
Yeah,
they're important.
Putting the right people around you.
Yeah, man.
It's huge.
Yeah, that's my other advice. Just end it. If people suck, stop hanging out with them. If the band sucks, stop booking them. If people are mean to you, stop dealing with them. Just go on.
There are too many good people in the world.
Stop. Don't put up with it. Do whatever you fucking have to do. It's too late. The world's fucked enough already.
There are too many good people in the world, and we all meet up at fucking Round Guys.
So if that's not a commercial for Round Guys, I don't know what is.
Come to Round Guys.
Come to Round Guys, guys.
If you take a break from Phoenixville,
come to Round Guys.
Well, this is Luke with Off the Record. Thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you.
It's a great episode. This was really cool.
This was fun,
dude. This seriously as a second episode. This was really fun.
It's a dope.
This is exactly.
Thank you for having me.
This is literally kind of like when I talked to Eight. Like they're like, "What do you guys want to do?" I was like, "I just want to have a really good conversation with people." Just like a conversation. Like you were asking, "What do I need to prepare for?" I'm like, "Here's a couple things," but we grew up in the music scene. We got plenty to talk about. So tune in.
Yeah.
If you know anybody else that wants to come and join the podcast,
Oh, we got people.
I'm sure we do.
John up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Until the next episode. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Woo.